Greedy Thinking, Making Optimal Decisions Fast, organized by the IEEE Computer Society Student Branch Chapter of University of Sri Jawadhanapura. Before we begin, we'd like to sincerely thank our annual silver partner, WSO2, and our annual bronze partner, Omega Line, for their valuable support throughout our initiatives. This initiative is conducted together with CENSOC, the Computer Engineering Society, ICT, the Students Association of Information Technology, ICTS, the Information and Communication Technology Society, CSA, Computer Science Association, and ICTSA, Information and Communication Technology Student Association. Today, we are continuing our structured journey focused on problem solving and competitive programming. Algo Ace 2.0 is all about improving how you approach problems. Not just coding, but how you think, break things down, and actually solve them. Now, just to give you a quick idea of how this program runs. Across all sessions, learning is always followed by application. After each session, there will be a quiz based on what you learned during the session. Since this is our third session, you will have your third quiz today. Our final session will also be followed by a quiz that will open right after the session. At the end of the program, there will also be a final quiz covering all the topics discussed throughout the series. After each quiz, we will share a leaderboard so you can track your progress and see how you are performing throughout the program. Your final score will be based on both consistency and performance. 60% comes from the 4-session quizzes and 40% comes from the final quiz. Who stay until the end of the session and complete the quiz will receive an official e-participation certificate for this session. And that's not all. Based on your performance throughout the Algo Ace 2.0 series, you will also have the opportunity to earn our shareable digital recognition badges. Apex Performer for securing the highest overall rank. Distinction Performer for finishing among the top performers. Consistency Performer for actively participating throughout the session, quizzes, and code arena challenges. So stay engaged, keep learning, and make the most of every session. Every step you take brings you closer to these achievements. All right, moving on to today's session. It's my pleasure to introduce our speaker, Mr. Sasanka Veerakon. He is a software engineer at Icon Private Limited, a full-stack developer, and a postgraduate scholar at the University of West London. He also served as a co-founder of HSC Logic, where he is involved in strategic leadership, innovation, and technology-driven solutions. We are really glad to have him with us today. Please join me in warmly welcoming Mr. Sasanka Veerakon. So, without taking more time, I'll hand it over to him. Over to you, Mr. Sasanka.
Hi, guys. I think I am audible to you guys. Can someone give me access to share the video, something like that?
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you for that warm welcome. So, good evening, everyone. I hope I'm audible and I don't have access to the video currently, but later, yeah, we can see the later about that. So today's session is regarding greedy thinking. So normally with the current situation in the technology in Sri Lanka as well as in the world, this will be a very best choice. Like normally we are talking about like එන බෝලට බැට් කරන කියන එක තමා. So in this current situation, technology is moving forward too. So we have a lot of tools, we have a lot of opportunities, chances, rather than back in 2020 to 2022, those kind of era, we didn't have these things. But with the sudden acceleration of the AI, so we have a lot of tools and uh, opportunity to move faster than we thought. So you have to be keep up with the world in order to going forward with that. So pretty algorithm surely. So before we are starting forward, I will tell you they have given all the introduction about myself. So only new thing in here is the photo with the LinkedIn URL. So you guys can, if you want to contact me regarding that, you can go to the LinkedIn. I thought putting a QR code, but in the phones, and those things. So if you like, you can try it out and reach out to me regarding any situation. So any problem you also have. So this is a summary of who I am, and I will tell you why I speaking on behalf of this situation. So I was also the competitor in back in there is a competition in IEEE Extreme. So back in 2020 to 2023, that kind of periods, I also a competitor for that competition. And that time period, I think 2023 was there is a AI has been happening, but before that, this greedy thinking is slightly different than what you guys learning today. Although the concept is the same thing, but the usage of this greedy thinking, the greedy patterns and the greedy algorithms are very different. What we have learned back in days, and now how we are using this to our improvements and the development and the competition. So actually, what is this greedy thinking? So greedy thinking is something like that. The previously I told the bold bet in a bold bet. So normally you are getting the decision based on the information you have in that time and thinking, okay, this will be the best solution for the current situation. Yeah, if you are in a situation, so the first thing that you see, this will be the best solution for this one. So let's do this, then find out what will be happen next. So likewise, that greedy think is the basic concept of that one is something like that. So I will explain it using some real world example, so you will get a better idea. So that is the concept, the basic idea of what greedy thinking is. So there is two things, greedy thinking and the brute force. So that is the main two considerations that you guys have to have an idea about. But let's think about greedy thinking and what will be the issues and what will be the outcome of the brute force means without using this greedy thinking any situation. So this is not only a, so normally previously in back in 2020, so if you are going to a solution to figure it out some sort of answer, sorry, we are figuring it out some sort of a problem and then come up with the solution. So we are approaching it a very different matter. But currently we have several tools, we can use them. And today we are approaching that part is slightly different than previous. So this is the example I'm getting you. So you can also find this in the internet as well, but I will explain about what this actually means. So we always goes to the supermarkets, right? So unless if you guys have don't go to the supermarket or something like that, normally we are going to the supermarket to get some sort of item. So we can see there are multiple cashiers, and there will be a different type of people with different level of queues in there. So normally in the situation, when we are going to a supermarket, our first thing is get the things and get out from the supermarket as fast as possible. If it is there is a crush or someone in the queue or very different situation, other than that, normally that's what's going to happen. So in this condition, we can use two types of thinking patterns, right? So we can see there are only two people in a queue, so we can join to that line and get the things done fast. And or sometimes you can see, so normally that is the greedy thinking. Okay? The greedy thinking is there's only two people. Okay, this line will be going fast, so I will join to this one and get out. But what happened if that the in front of person is paying their bills and some of his mate or someone friend is going to search in some other task? So we don't think those kind of things. We just saw the people. There are only two people, so we join that one. We think okay, this will be the best solution for that kind of situation. So we join and we are waiting in the line to pay the amounts and leave from there. So that is the greedy thinking in the first matter. But that what I said, that in front of people can be pay bills, or in front of the person has lot of items in his basket. So those kind of things we have normally that kind of experience as well. So these kind of things can be happen. Or sometimes the cashier is only getting the cash money, not the card. So we all have a card, so we had to wait and until to the come into the cashier, we understand okay, this line is not taking cards, so we had to move on. So we don't think those kind of things. Those kind of things can happen. So in the greedy thinking, we didn't get that to in our consideration. But in the brute force part, the other thinking pattern, we are calculating those things. So we are calculating, okay, there is a 7 people in front of you. Only all the 7 people has only 2 items. So it's like something like that. If you go to the Key supermarket, there is a line only 5 item and below. So sometimes that queue can be very long, but that queue is moving very fast. Other cashiers, maybe there is only 2 to 3 people, but their baskets can be lot of items, and that can be take much more time rather than that very that 5 ohm little line. So in the greedy thinking, we don't get that too in our consideration. We just saw there is only number of people, how many number of people are in front of, and we are going to that part. So in that condition, greedy can be a very negative point, because we are only finding the best solution at the moment, uh, only considering very little that we saw in our scope. But in the brute force, we are calculating, okay, there are only 3 people or 7 people, but only 2 items in their basket. No, normally one item will be take around, let's say, 30 seconds. So there are 7 people, 30 to 7. So there are 3 minutes and 30 seconds to go. So something like we are calculating in our mind. So we can see the cashier there. She is also a very young lady, or she can very quickly scan the item, so we can move forward. So we are thinking in the brute force era, we are thinking all the parameters we have and thinking, okay, we do some sort of a calculation, okay, according to this will be the time period, and it is very slow, as you can see. So we have to use our brain at the moment. If it is a morning time, so we are not doing calculation and we are waiting in the queue. We are getting things done. So in the morning period, that will be a very hard thing to do. But if you are a very analytic person in the OCD one, typically, so he is or she will be calculating that time period and staying in the correct queue. So she will be moving forward really fast based on the situation we will face. Normally in the brute force, we will find the optimal solution because we are considering all the data and the outcomes that can be happen. But the greedy thinking, we are just see only 2 people. It can be right or the wrong in the current situation, but we are trying to get the that in front of the 2 people can be the best solution at that time. But the uncertainty of and not considering all the variable can be harm you some way. but that can be a best solution at the moment as well. So greedy thinking is something like that. You are seeing, you are getting the decision in that time and finding the solution for that part. So if it is the best solution, that can be really good. So normally we have a local based and global based. Later I will talk about those things. What is the local based and the global based? The at that time, the best solution can be the best solution at the end as well. But it's there is a very different percentage wise change that can be happen based on the people's decision in front of you as well. So that can be the greedy thinking. The smallest example that I can get, the supermarket one. So I hope you understand what is greedy thinking in the moment, and let's move on. Then you will understand the better solution with the multiple solution. So as you can see, the brute force and the greedy. Greedy is choose the best available solution at the moment. So shortest queue, we select the shortest queue based on the greedy algorithm. So that can be that maybe will be the best solution, but that is how we are our mindset working on that time. Okay, so brute force and the greedy. That is the two-way thinking that I told you. What is the difference between that with the one solution? Try all the possibilities. So if you are getting the same solution, same situation in the uh, supermarket queue, in the brute force, as I told you before, we are considering all the patterns, right? So if you guys have any other situations that you will be facing, so normally in the greedy, if you are normally we are getting the shortest queues, no. If you guys have any experience, what I have told you before, uh, other than what I told you before, can you put in the chat as well? So I will get that idea what kind of situation you have been faced before getting into the shortest queue in the supermarket. Until then, I will go on. You guys can put it. I think it is available for you guys as well. Yeah, if you guys can, you can put the messages in the chat as well. So in the brute force, normally that is the one part I told you. You can get the how many bottles are there or how many components within the user and calculate them and get an idea the possibility of okay this queue can be happening fast. Another way is something like that determining there's a two ways, okay, brute force. One is determining how many components within the in front of persons and getting an calculation based on that. The second one is based on the cashier. So we can have a trainee cashier in front of us, we can have a very experienced cashier, but you are getting the decision based on the information available for you guys in the moment. So you can see when you are in one queue and understanding okay this the next queue the next in front of my queue is going faster than my one, so I can choose that part. Oh, in greedy thinking, you can do something like that as well. So you are in the queue, but you see another uh, queue is going really fast. You can okay, this is not the queue. That one is going fast. I can move into that part, but that is there are very few people, but you are not getting any information like calculations, right? This will be taking this much of time and something like, but based on the idea that you have seen this is going fast, so I will move into that situation. So greedy thinking is choosing that part, choosing the best current option. When you are getting okay, if this is line is not moving, I will move into the next line and go into there because that line is moving fast. But in that case, brute force is different. Like so, let's say you want to change the lane, change the queue. So in the brute force, again you will take all the possibilities. You are okay. Why is it is going fast? Because they are all the people are only paying card. But what happened if or one who are in front of me is paying cash? So it will now take a lot of time. So if you are paying cash, what will be happen, how long that can be happen, or something like that, you are gathering the information. So you are always gathering all the information, and you are thinking about all the possibility. What can be happen? Okay, in front of a person can, there will be some item that cannot be scanned, so the cashier has to go somewhere and get that item, and that will take some time. So you are considering all the possibilities. So there is a uh, not be, will be an end of to that part, but you are trying to get all the possibilities that can be happen within a queue, and getting your decision based on that. So if you are in a coding competition, or if you are in a uh, time based competition, so this can be a really harmful, hurtful for you guys, because it will take your time, right? In order to get the all the possibilities that can be happen, it's going to be really if you are not in a hurry, that will be the best solution, because you are getting all the possibilities and determining the answer for that one. That is a really good way to solve some sort of issues. If you guys know about graph theory, I hope in the session 2 you guys has been have an experience regarding this one. But uh, if you are solving the graph theories, or if you are finding some sort of a pathways, yes, this will be the best solution. If you get a Google Maps, if you know how the Google Maps is working, the algorithm is working, it is going through from let's say you have a location A and a location B. Normally we are going like that no. For location A, it's finding all the possible outcomes that can be all the output of the roads that they are going, and it is starting from location A, and it is simultaneously it's starting from location B. So when the uh, line is meet up, then that line is the solution that normally Google Maps is suggestion for you guys. Okay, this is the path, shortest path that you can go to a location A to B. So that's how that algorithm is working within that. So that is brute force. So finding all the possibilities, but since it is connected, suddenly it is choosing that part as a solution best solution you can find. But greedy is like you already know this is the road that you already has been gone. So you think okay, this current situation, this will be the best solution. So you are going that road. Normally that graph theory or something like that finding the path areas, normally using greedy algorithm can be stuck in a loop mostly, or it will take a lot of time than using the normally the final solution. It will take a lot of time than the brute force in that situation. So you have to pick and identify which are the best solution for the greedy algorithm, and what will be the best solution using the brute force. So I will tell you about how to select a question based on what is the algorithm that you have to go in later. So currently you have to have an basic understanding about brute force and the greedy, and what will be the situation that greedy will not be the best solution for you. And the next one is, so in here, this the next example I am going to give you guys, you will get an idea why greedy must be a some sort of a issue in here. So, for example, the ATMs are using this method, ATMs, and if you are getting the money out of some sort of a machine, so there are multiple machines. So in my experience, I am working those things, so I have different terms of theirs, but I will not use those terms for you guys, because you guys will not understand really well about that. But in here, this is the basic understanding about currency notes. So for example, you have 5,800, right? So I hope you guys know Sri Lanka have 200 note, the 2000 note. In 1998, there is a 200 note. If you guys has not seen that, but you can Google it. In 1998, Sri Lanka has released a 200 note. So if you are putting this, let's say you are getting a question in a competition, our databases, AI databases has been saving that 200 note is a valid currency in Sri Lanka. So if you put that part and getting the smallest number of notes to your hand, when you are getting let's say 5,800, the smallest amount, the answer you will be getting is 5,000 note, 500 note, 200 note, and the 100 note. So there are the 4 notes. That is the least amount of notes you will get when you divide into that this 5,800. So, but in the current situation, there is no 200 notes to find. Okay, if you specially request from the bank, you can get 200 notes. But normal day-to-day life, it's really hard to find a 200 note, and normally still the machines are not accepting this 200 note as well. So it is in 1998 to 2006, I think we have used 200 note. But since we have used, Sri Lanka has a currency of 200 note, if you put your question into a AI will be given you answer as a 5,000, 500, 200, and the 100. That is the least amount of notes to get the 5,800 sum amount. So in this situation, 3D is the best answer for you guys, because it asking about what is the least amount of notes that is sum up to 5,800. That is the question. But based on the data having the AI, so we can solve this in 2 ways, right? We can get all the question and put into some sort of AI, let's say Gemini or ChatGPT or Copilot, anything. So you can put the question in there with the correct instructions, but definitely the final answer will be getting 5,500, 200, and 100. But we all know in the practical situation, even if it is registered as a 200 note, registered as a currency in Sri Lanka, but that will be not the answer for us, because current situation we are not using 200 note. So the best solution for that one is thinking, okay, what is the easiest way to go to the 5,800 is, first of all, the first note is really easy, because we are going through the biggest number, then we know we can get the least amount of part rather than going to 100 and 100 and 100, getting the sum of that and getting all the possibilities and figuring out what are the all the sub arrays of that 5,800 sum up to, and getting the solution. That will be taking a lot of time, but the best solution is figuring out, okay, the biggest number will be 5,000. So if we deduct 5,000 from our sum amount, we have a really small amount. So again, we are getting that number. So normally 5,800 minus 5,000 is 800, right? So the next biggest note value be not be 1,000, because 800 is lower than 1,000. So in this situation, 500 is the next biggest currency note that we know. So again, we remove 500 from that 800, then we have 300. Now we are going to with the issue, because 200, as I told you before, 200 is the valid currency note, accepted note in Sri Lanka. So if we got into that 200 note, the answer will be removing 200 from the 300. So that is the biggest note at the moment, because 200 is valid. But as the experience, and since we are living as a humans, we know 200 is not there. So the biggest value will be 100. So how we are going to remove that from the code? There is a issue. So if you are doing some sort of algorithmic code rather than prompting, you can give something like that. Put into all the nodes in the list or array. Then write a for loop or while loop based on your choice until that some values come to a 0, getting the one value from the list and divided and getting there is a 0 remaining. So there is a fully divided from the amount and you are getting a 0 some remaining at the end. So you can loop through that one and add in that value if there is a remaining, or if it is can be divided by without having some sort of a value, you can save it into another new list and finally updating that list, and you can get out how many nodes in the splits or how many values will be in that list. So that is the basic uh, solution, that if you are getting a coding uh, question regarding this one, but if you are getting idea related question regarding this one, you can explain what I explained before. So getting the largest value and subtract from there and getting the next value and subtract from there, and finally subtracted values are the final values that you will get in the least amount of nodes to get into the sum of 5,800. So that is how you can find out the solution for that one. That is a greedy approach. But if you are using the brute force approach, you are getting 5,800 and getting all the sub-arrays of that one and figuring out the length of all the list. So you have a 2D array. So one 2D array, one is the solution one, the option one, and the second array is the value. The dimension will be your linked list, the including what are the combination, the subarray. So likewise, you will get a bigger 2D values, how many subarrays will be there, and what will be the best solution of that, getting that 2D arrays, the second value, the second dimension length. So you can, for example, you can get, I will show you, it will be helpful. You can see my screen, right? A different screen? No? Okay. Can you see a white screen? I hope I am sharing a white screen.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So 2D arrays I meant was something like this, right? Something like this. No? 1, 2, it's based on the list. But what I actually means is 2D array is the first value. Normally we are getting a list with two values. One is int, another one is a list. It's mean the int one means the options that you have. So this is about brute force. So brute force one, okay, the first 0 is our first choice, and what is our list? So we can get 100 into 4 or something like that. You can have a calculation of your array. So you can have something like this. Again, the next solution will be the our 5,001, 5,500 and 100 or something like this. This is likewise, you can have 2, you can have third, and finally you can get this kind of part and figure it out what is the lowest length of this. So likewise, you can find the solution for that part as well. So I will go to the presentation again. Hope I am sharing the presentation again. Okay. So that is how you can use brute force and the greedy to find a solution for some sort of question. So based on your instinct, find out what is the best solution for this. If whether it is a greedy or whether it is a brute force is a good option for that one. For now, okay. For now, use instinct for figure it out. But later I will give you an idea what kind of questions can be resolved by using greedy and what kind of questions can be solved by the brute force. So that is the one about the current. So that is the second example I am going to give you about to get an idea about greedy algorithms can be used very easily to find a best solution at the time. But when we are finding a solution for some sort of a problem, there can be a different approaches, right? So the greedy one, when you are using, it can be the best solution at the moment. Okay. So normally you can feel that in that 5200 that kind of the question, you can see okay using the greedy. So understanding about Sri Lankan currency, the when you are subtracting the biggest value, so it will be easier to get the answer very quickly. So that can be the local best. That is what we are calling at the current situation. What is the best solution for that one? But in that instant. But if you are getting the overall questions, normally we don't ask what is the biggest, what is the least number of notes can be getting into the 5800. That is not the questions normally in the competitions will be asking. It will be a sub part of some sort of a question. So the greedy, that's why back in 2020 before AI era, we are finding a question. We are just reading, we are not reading the question fully. Okay, when you are finding the solution, we are not reading the question, because if you are getting competition like IEEE extreme or something, there are 24 hours competition and there are 24 to 25 questions will be there. So normally in the practical scenario, when we are reading the first 5 or 6 question really well and understand and break it down and giving the solution for what, normally after 5 or 6 you are tired. uh, Now you are not reading the full question to understand really well. So you are reading the first part. Okay, there is in those kind of questions, first we are getting what are the inputs. So we are giving a solution for what are the inputs are. So normally for in the question, let's say it asking you to get an integer and a list of data that user going to input. So rather than understanding the question in the below, we are just giving the solution for normal. This is back in 2020. This is how we are solving the question in that time using greedy. So we are okay. Now we have only that is the problem we have, not the fully understanding about the question. Okay. So we are getting the okay. There are 2 inputs needed to be done. Okay, how do we are getting a int value and getting the scan value of that one and inputting those values. Then we are going to the next part. Okay, so then you have to have some sort of a calculation in the between and then output in the value. So normally there are 2 segments in the competition questions, inputs and the outputs. So they are and constraints. Okay, these are the constraints that you have. You can't have the values bigger than this value or lower than this value, or all the values integers need to be positive integers, not the negative values. So likewise, so we are reading those parts and giving the solution for finally those small solutions that we are given can be the best solution at the end. But at the same time, it's also it will be not the best final solution as well, because in that time, it can be run the solution and find we can pass the example value of that. So there in the competition, there is an example you can run and figure it out whether your algorithm is right or wrong. You can press run example button and find out whether if it is right or wrong. Maybe in that situation it can be right, but then you can submit your solution. So when you are submitting the solution, there is multiple test cases. So now it can be fair due to some maybe the wrong answer, maybe timeouts, maybe a memory exceeds. So you are giving the solution for that small situation and hope that final answer will be the best solution that we have done. It cannot, it won't be always the best solution at that time. So that's why that brute force thinking is coming, considering all the parameters before going to some sort of solution. So brute force ones will be helpful to you to get the final answer, the best final answer, but it will definitely take a lot of time than you can ever think of. Sometimes if you are going to a brute force error, you only will be answering for 24 hours is a one question, because there are a lot of variables you have to consider. So normally human mind at that time period was, there were people, but most of the people are not capable of identifying all the variables at the moment. But today that is different things, because if you are putting your question into AI and getting the part, all the brute force that the missing variables can be easily identified, because computational power is very high. So from the AIs, you can understand, okay, all the variables are here. What are the things that I have missed? We can ask this question from the AI. So you can get an best solution at the moment, but that also the greedy algorithm, greedy thinking, because you are not going through all the part. You are just putting all the things to AI and getting the variables or the questions or the understanding regarding that part without considering all the possibilities. So something like that, a 500, 5,800 question. So 200 will be, if you are using the AI, 200 will be he will be telling you the accepted. But in the test cases, there will be a one part that 200 will be a, if they have put a if condition and remove the 200. So those kind of parts we will be considered in the brute force before answer giving you the answer for that one. You can ask from the AI, but you have to have a better idea about, okay, what are the questions that will be answering, because AI doesn't know if there's any concerns regarding that part. Normally, that kind of value concerns will be not given in the question as well, because it can be in the test case that not going to give you the marks for the competition. So that will be in the test case. So definitely that test case going to be fail. Sorry. If you are writing like a that, not considering that all the variables. So that is the things I have to say. So in the greedy, local based can be the best solution for that part, but at the global level, it cannot, it won't be always the best solution. You can run it and pass in the all the sample test cases, but when you submit the questions, multiple test cases can be failed. But at the time, you have get the best sort of answer for that one, but that need to be optimized as well, for considering more of the constraints you have given in the your questions. So that's when is the greedy is correct. So we can move on to the another part. If we want always using that greedy combination, if you are more familiar, likely to use the greedy algorithm, 14 definitely going to be helpful for you, because when you have sorted your variables or your let's say, parameters you have, it will be easier to get a solution first. What I mean was that what is, if you have some sort of a variable, or in the middle of the questions you have getting some sort of a data within that, if you sort those data, you can easily get into a solution rather than going through the every part. So normally the greedy part, I will tell you later when we are identifying the question regarding the whether it is greedy or not. When you sorted it, most of the parts are in the greedy questions that you are using will be asking the least number or the maximum value or the minimum value. So for example, in the queue, if you put the peoples in based on their height, you can easily find out who is the shortest one, right? You can easily find out who is the tallest person, or you can find out what is the mean of that queue easily. Just looking at them, you can figure it out, or just looking at the data, you can figure it out. Okay, this will be the person that I needed. So normally those kind of questions, voting will be really helpful to you to get a best solution for that time. So normally the grid is based concept is to find in the best solution at the time. So sorting will be definitely helpful for you guys if you are using the greedy approach. If there's any sort of a data that within that question asking about using those data and get some sort of output, definitely try to first sort it and read it out the questions really well, and you can get a better solution rather than going through the every part and figure it out what will be the best solution for the moment. Okay, so let's move on to another small example regarding this. So for example, so you guys have, this is IEEE, I think, CS. You guys have multiple societies like this, right? You have your SB, you have your WIE or something like that. You can be have a lot of clubs within you guys. And for example, you have a one, let's say Sumangala building is only the one available for that part. For having the events, other halls are not available. So if you are getting a selection question like that, so there is a person is coming and asking, okay, so there are multiple clubs are requesting the same hall, but what will be the maximum events can be happen within that hall today? So from the IEEE SB, they are coming and they are booking the hall for 9 to 12. And your CSC is coming to book the hall to 9 to 10. And your WI is coming and booking the hall for 10 to 11 or something like that. Without, so if we are giving the SB a priority, so whole two events can need to be cancelled, right? So, but our question is to find the maximum event within the day that can be happen in the whole. So in that situation also, first you can sort the time events based on the time and figure it out. Okay, the if you are starting the event in the 9, what will be the events are available to put in the calendar, or book the hall at that time. So there is a two events based on whatever the data I have given you. The data is something like 9 to 12. The SB will be handling there will be an event, and 9 to 10 TS is also having the event. So if we are our target is to have the maximum events, uh, if we give the hall to SB, two events needed to be cancelled. So that will be not an option at the moment. So we can cut it out. So SB won't never going to have that event within that your hall, Mangala hall, or maybe I'm just guessing a different name for that. So definitely the spot will be going to the CS. Then because Because why? Because WI also having an event around 9 to 10. So two events can be happen within the hall without interrupting each other, and hall can be allocated for maximum event in that day. But if you give the hall to the SB, there's only one event will be happening, but it will be not covering our target at the moment. So likewise, you can sort the time event time based and find out what is the best solution for that situation uh, in that situation. So picking the event that finishes earliest. So you can figure it out. Okay, only 1 hour event will be there. That's how you are getting. So you are getting the solution like not how the events will be going on, but the what is the earliest event, and it can be connected to another event. For example, let's say you have if you are having an event around 4 to 5 and event is 9 to 10 and 9 to 12 at that time, so the both solution can be there, right? One need to be sacrificed. 9 to 10, after 9 to 10 there is no events, but same way after 9 to 12, because since there is no event between 10 to 12, SB can have the slot, but CS is having a 1 hour meeting. It's based on what is the conditions in the time period. So if you are in the grade, if you are thinking like, okay, the earliest event, what is the event that finishes earliest is the CS, but it will take only 1 hour to complete, but afterwards there is no events until 4, sacrificing SB event will be a problem, right? In the practical scenario, that will be a problem because it is 9 to 12 means sometimes it means the event will be have a more value than the CS event at the moment, rather than having a 1 hour meeting, 1 hour event within the location. It's based on how you are going to be getting the solution for that part based on the information and the situation within the question. So that's why so normally in the greedy you will get the CS, give the priority for CS because it is the finish the earliest, and you are putting the values for the WSS. Let's say 4 to 5 event will be the WI. So WI and the CS events will be happening there if you are using the greedy algorithm. But if you are using that brute force method, you are considering all the possibilities. What is mean that SB has been a 9 to 12 event that can have a better outcome or output rather than having a 1 hour event using the CS. So in the brute force, you are selecting whether if it is right or wrong at the moment, or there is another variables. Let's say the priority will be there. So in the greedy, you are not considering about the priority because you have been sorted into the based on the time, and you are picking the event that finishes early in the time and giving the priority for that one. But in the brute force, you are considering all the variables, so there can be a priority or outcome value or something like that, some other variable within there. So you are considering that variable and figuring out, okay, what will be the best solution for uh, dedicate this whole to the students. Same, both are in the same university, both are in the same uh, society, that is the sub branches. So they are considering, okay, what are the parts that's needed to be considered to in order to give the booking for the which organization that requires. So it's based on all of always on the data. So in the brute force, they are considering all the parts, but as a greedy, you are just checking the time and the earliest finishes. So we are thinking another event can be happen next, so we are giving the priority for that. But at the globally, that will be a very bad situation. But in the local situation, to pick out the bookings, that will be the easy solution. So it's always based on the data and the output and the requirements that they are required. So you have to pick and choose what are the algorithms you will be going to use to find the solution for some sort of a question. So that is one thing regarding booking. Same in the scheduling as well. So in the scheduling question, so that is about the allocations. Okay, the first this question is regarding the booking means some sort of a slot allocation for event. So these are the some sort of questions or the problems that you will be getting in the future in the main competition. The terms that I am using that selection, the booking or the allocations are will be using the same scenario with the different same question with the different scenarios. But when you are going to okay, so that is what. So if you are getting a question regarding schedulers, so you have scheduled some sort of room. So this is a meeting room that you have multiple meetings will be with the many teams. For office, if you have multiple sections like finance teams, HR, your technical teams, and your overall. So in here also schedulers, if you have to schedule the time period, schedule your meeting rooms based on the requirement of your team. So for example, your finance team required 30 minutes meeting, or your technical team rather have a 6 hour meeting, and your HR will be having 2 hour meeting. It's based on the requirements they have. So if you want to have a scheduler, you have to always consider the time period of the meeting. Okay. So normally if you are getting the meeting time period, let's say your technical team requires 6 hours of time period interval period intervals. So it can be a bit of a concern because multiple your same organization, multiple teams are waiting for the same room for the schedule. So you have to consider about the time period between what time period you have to consider and whether if it is overlap for something. For example, finance teams and the HR teams are typically working around 9 to 5. Normally the tech teams are working more than those hours, and they can have your meeting room after completing the finance and the HR teams. It's also based on data as well, because sometimes the HR team will be planning some sort of a event day. So the priority can be different based on the requirement they are required. But as a scheduler, if you are a scheduler of this meeting room, you have to consider about the time period and just about the overlaps, whether it is overlaps with the other teams or whether the content of the meetings is overlapping with the other teams, or if that is required before having another meeting or the next meeting or the financial meeting. For example, HR is planning an event and finance is going to uh, planning about the finances about the same event. So the HR meeting need to be done earlier before having the financial meeting. So in this consider, think about what is the best solution for that using the greedy or the brute force, because you have to consider a lot of data before scheduling those kind of things. Scheduler based questions. Normally you have considered the lot of variables rather than going to a single solution first. Just looking at the time, it will be a lot of conflicts. Having to allocation a meeting room for this kind of question. Okay, I think maybe I am going a little bit faster. Let me know if it is not understanding about what I am saying. So I'm typically going this kind of fast. So delivery routes. So I will not going to tell you what is this about. Delivery, you are not know about the delivery routes optimal. Delivery routes. You have ordered pick me, Uber and everything. Even you have gone through as well, I hope. So I will give you 5 minutes to answer this. So what will be the best solution. So the question is like this: there are multiple locations that you are a Uber driver. You have a very limited time period. So in this situation, what is the algorithm you are going to use? Brute force or the greedy? So I will give you around 5 minutes. You can any person can put and chat greedy or the brute force. If the participants can put the question in the chat, the organizing committee, can you respond to this? The participants is able to put a message in the chat. Do they have permission? So you guys have to change it. CP, I don't know the person. Okay, if you guys have a, if you think, I think that there is a options you to hand up or put an image as well. Wait a minute, I will check whether you have that. Does Zoom have that option? Ah, yeah, you can, right? Greedy method. Okay. What about others? You can have, right? Greedy. Limited type, many locations. Okay. You have limited times and you have to. I will give you another 2 to 3 greedy. Everyone is saying greedy. Greedy. Put by earlier. Mhm. Greedy. Okay, what happened? We use brute force. What do you guys think? If you are using the brute force method, what going to be happen? Okay, all are greedy. Okay, greedy is right in this situation, but I think you are have an understanding and telling me greedy or rather than having a one person putting the greedy and going through. Okay, so the reason is not the brute force is possible. If you are getting the brute force, it means you have to go through the every possible outcome, right? So you have to go to the, let's say, in this image there are A, B, C, D, E, F. So you have to understand to go to about A to B B to C, C to D, D to E. Likewise, you have to find every solution, or A to E, B to C, what is the fastest route. So if there are a lot of time will be allocation to understand what is the best route for you guys. So if you are using brute force, the purpose of the questions will be an issue because we have limited time and many locations. So as the person who are telling about sort by I hope I am reading your name right. So yes, right. Sort by earlier. First, you are getting the understanding about the location A, B, C, D, E. What is the shortest uh, distance between your location to the next location or your location to the other location? Okay, understanding about, for example, A has a 2 kilometer from your location, the B has a 3 kilometer your location. As in greedy approach, we are choosing the 2 kilometer one. So you are approaching that one and go to the next location based on the uh, distance from that location to the next. So it will be really fast and you can cover up all the path. But it can, at the end of the day, maybe that can be not will be the best path, but that is the fastest path because you have already picked and gone through there. But yeah, if you are using the brute force here, you have to go through every path, every combination, and figure it out what is the best uh, path for that solution for that. That is the bigger concern about the brute force. You can start from A and go to B C, or you can start from A and go to the C B. So there can be possible routes, unlimited possible route based on the location that you have. In here only you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That can be very small amount of locations, but normally let's say if there's a 10 or 20 delivered location, okay, now you messed up. So you have to go through every possible to figure it out what is the best path. So that going to never end. So in this case, brute force will be really bad. But greedy, maybe it is good or bad, but it is faster. So that's how you can figure it out. You can see it is there is some sort of pattern, right? So when you are figure it out, if this is question is using the if you are going to use a greedy or a brute force to that part, there are also patterns in every question. Okay, so these are the patterns that you will find. Does sorting help? So if you sort the inputs or the sort the data within that, does it help to find the answer? It means definitely you can use the greedy algorithm for that one if the sorting is helpful. Or if your question has minimum cost, minimum time, or the maximum time, maximum cost, that kind of wordings, you can use the greedy algorithm. Because why? Because there's a one solution for that part. So minimum cost amount is a one output variable. So in that case, you can easily sort it out, or you can get the first out you can see, and going forward you can solve the little problem, and at the end of the day you can figure it out the one solution that you are getting. And the second one is, does it include the intervals? Intervals means there's time period, so between some sort of a one value to next value, so between values or something like that. So for example, scheduler, for example, booking, allocation, that kind of words. So you can, if you have those kind of questions, those kind of words within your question, you can go to the, that is some sort of greedy signal. Okay, this is a greedy question, so I can use greedy method and solve it really fast. So likewise, you have maximum, minimum item, minimum values, maximum connections, or something like that. If you are having a one output as a one answer, so you can go with the greedy algorithm. That is a greedy signal. So does it sortings will be helpful for you to figure it out the answer? Definitely go with the greedy algorithm, so you can easily figure it out one solution for that one, and it will be really fast. But if doesn't sorting doesn't helpful, so as the graph theory mostly greedy in the graph theories, trust me, greedy doesn't help. It will take your time and it will be waste your time to use the greedy algorithm for that one, because in the graph theories and everything you have to figure it out lot of data before going forward with the solution. Otherwise you are in the loop without ending a loop. You always goes to the same solution, and it will be not the best solution, and maybe not even pass the sample questions as sample solution as well, so test case as well. So if you definitely these are the four things, whether there is a minimum or maximum item, that is the output value. Okay, so if they are expecting minimum cost, minimum time, maximum items or something like that, definitely greedy solution will be helpful. And in the beginning, if you are sorting things and if you are after sorting them, that will be helpful to give an answer. Definitely go with the greedy. And another one is interval sum. That is in the processor. If you are getting your question, you can break it down to subparts. One is the first one part is the input path. So you are getting the input path in there. So if the sorting is helpful, definitely the grade will be used in that time. But within your in the middle of part, in the input path, if they involve the intervals within that, definitely go with the greedy part. And the outputs, if you are considering the output, uh, whether if it is they are asking about the minimum cost, minimum time, minimum items, maximum cost, or something like minimum or maximum values, definitely go with the greedy. So those are the greedy examples, because we can't identify the middle part, right? In the question, the middle part is the algorithms and the optimizations you are doing. So those kind of things you have to figure it out with based on the questions output and the parameters. But in order to use what kind of algorithm needed to be done to solve this, what kind of thinking pattern you have to use, uh, doing these four things, if you are having these four things, you can easily do that. Okay, that is about greedy recognition. So pattern recognition part, the contest, whether if it is a greedy signal or not. And the best now, I told you the local best and the difference between the local best and the global best. So I told you that not always the local best is the final output that global best is, but if you can have your local best with the proof, that's going to be really helpful you to get the final best, the best final answer for that one. So even though there are a lot of things right in the local based, you can have all the solution correct at the time, but you cannot have the proof whether it is right or wrong. In that time period you think okay, this is the solution and going forward, but without a proof. But if you can have a proof with the solution at the time, that that will be the global best most of the times. Okay, not the always, but most of the time that will be the global best as well, if you have a proof whether this it is a good solution or not at the time, with the current data and the information you have within that time. Okay, and grade is really fast. Greedy algorithm is the fastest thinking algorithm that you can use, and but you have to figure it out that patterns to identify whether 3D is the best solution for that. Otherwise you are going to be in a loop, as I told you before, infinite loop, that you may not find a solution finally, but you will definitely find the local best solution for that. So I will tell you a story that what happened to me in the competition back in 2021. So when I figure it out questions, I think pizza cutter or something. I can't remember the question name at the competition. Uh, there's a two girls and the two boys in my team. There's a four people, and we are figuring it out at 5:30. We are starting the competition, and we are figuring out some sort of questions. But there is a one question that no matter what kind of solution we thought of, didn't work. Okay. So based on this story, I think I have told before as well, but this is really interesting though. So finally, we give up. That is the second question at the time or something like that. So I just in that time I was using Java. So if you guys using Java, you guys know the outputting the some value is system dot just println some sort of a value. Okay. So at the time, okay, now we started at 5:30, but the next day around 4 o'clock or something like that, I'm thinking, okay, there's no answer for this one. No matter what I have submitted, even the sample uh, test case also failed. So no matter what, I tried. So normally I know I'm not that kind of stupid, but something has to work now. After 23 hours, something has to work. Okay, now I think, okay, we all are tired. There's nothing to do. I just type only single line system dot out dot println 0 and just submit it. If you guys know, I have passed 5 test cases. Only there are 7 test cases to be. I just wrote one line. I still remember that day. System.output ln 0. That is the only line I have seen. There's no algorithm, there nothing. At the time, I thought, okay, better than submitting nothing for that one, just print that line because the output input in data and everything is already given the question. They are asking for the algorithm. So I have tried multiple algorithm. In that time, there's no AI, but I have gone through Stack Overflow, collaborator community, and everywhere I have gone through and try to figure it out, even calling my friends and trading the questions at the time also. Answers for them, no one was able to submit anything regarding that question. So only thing I have done was, okay, at that time I thought, okay, this will be the best solution. Just submitted. 5 test cases has been passed. Sample one is failed, but submitted 5 test cases has been passed. So it means in the 5 test cases, the answer is 0. So those kind of situations also you can have in that. No, in that time, right? I have used actually the BD without thinking about. I am using, okay, it will be not always the global base, but at the local time, I thought, okay, this will be a some sort of thing. I just submitted. So I think it is something like 27 marks or 28 or something like that kind of marks has been given to that question. That is a big value because most of the people are not able to give an answer for that question. Having that level of answer, you can uh, move up really fast in the leaderboard as well. So that's how some situations will be helpful without considering all the data and all the algorithms in the world. Without thinking like that, you can just give a simple answer and come up with a solution that will be other people's also thinking at the same time, but you will be thinking it as a stupid thing, but actually that can be the answer for most of the question. Okay, so this is what within the presentation I am giving you guys, and I will show you the CS Academy. I hope in the this is regarding IEEE Extreme later. But if you are in this competition, this is a different things. But later this competition will be help you to understand about IEEE Extreme. So since that, I will give you an example way of getting the previous questions regarding this one. So give me a second. So there are multiple sites that you can use to improve your problem solving. But one is HackerRank. That is really helpful back in the days, but now I don't know if this is helpful, because most of the questions will be, sorry, most of the answers will be within the internet as well. So you will be easily can be cheated regarding that one. But it's up to you how to use one. Another one is IEEE Extreme is happening in the CS Academy. If you go to this website, I will put it in the chat. So you can get the, sorry, so this is something you can practice to improve your coding problem solving ability. So you can see in here there are 63% papers has been successful from there, or 15 people are successful to answer the question. So there is a tag as well, difficulty tag as well. If you want to see, you can try from the easy one, but even see, you can see the easy ones also only 61 people has been, out of the 100 people tried, only 61 is capable of finding the solution. So some of the answers are within the internet, but try to solve the answers without using internet. Try to improve your problem solving capability. So these kind of questions, this is what I have told you. Normally we are having the standard inputs and the standard output with the constraint. So normally these are the if conditions that you are putting in there. So your input values, in values is input value can't need to be between these values. So one of the test cases will be there that is lower than this value and failing the output. So you have to consider that as well. So x1 will be the next inputs that you are putting inside there ones. So these are the questions, these kind of things, and the submissions. There's no submissions things you can see. And when you are doing the competition, you have to mostly consider about these two parts: the time limit and the memory limit. This is depend on the language you are using as well. See, if you are changing your language, normally we are know Python is really overhead language. So these kind of values can be changed based on the language you are choosing. So scripting languages, time limits and the memory limits are different. So I think in the previous sessions you have done some sort of heap maps and everything, data structures. So you can get an idea about how these kind of things can be helpful when you are using your data structures. So mostly these can be handled using the data structures, not about the thinking, the greedy thinkings and everything will be help you to understand about the solutions that you are going to get. So you are going to get the solution from there. So not the understanding about the question, but understanding about your solution will be helpful using the greedy method or the brute force. Okay, how to approach that. So consider about these two values. If you are solving this, so other one is and is there. This also you can help to understand. So there are problem solving challenges. You can solve these problems and get an idea, and then you can get improve from there. This is also similar to CS Academy. There are inputs, constraints. So they have given that this is sample one. So I told you there are sample inputs and the sample outputs, sample test cases. There can be more than one or two based on the question. But the similar way, you have inputs, constraints, and what kind of output they are expecting. And sometimes some questions have the explanation as well. This is how it's going to be indexing or something like this working or not. They have how the answer is going to get. Some questions have this, but CS Academy, I don't remember having the explanations. They have something like that, but in even in the sample explanation, some it's harder to understand. But similar way, all the platforms are given you the same idea. So in here as well, if you change the language, the timing and everything will be changed to your competition. So submissions will be there. Sometimes some submissions has been previous people are submitted and answer those questions. So you can see that those submissions as well there. Um, these are my submissions. In the discussions you can find here. Some people has been given you the answers regarding some part and explanations as well. So my solution is Swift. This Swift language, this is Python 3. Some has been included their explanation regarding what is has been done and everything. So you can understand them. These as well, what they have done. So you can say these communities are really good. So they you can understand and you can even discuss about them regarding how they have got the answers and everything as well. So they will help you regarding that. But GitHub Stack Overflow communities kind of one. Other than that, GitHub community and the normal this site is now no longer using I think most of the video. Yeah. You can chat with the people in here and having the idea about your if you have relevant language that you are going to master. You can chat from the communities and get an idea from them as well. You can use HackerRank and CS Academy to improve your problem solving capabilities and understand about the real world questions, how they have been connecting with the real world questions with the coding competitions. So you can understand it from there. There is another platform. I can't remember what was the name that time. But these kind of platforms are all are similar. You can easily go through and figure it out. Okay, so I think we have come to the end of the presentation. If you guys have any questions, you feel free to ask.
All right, we'll now moving to the Q&A session. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. If there are no questions, we'll proceed to wrap up the session. Excuse me, sir. Shall I continue?
Yeah, sure. Okay.
Okay, before we wrap up, just a quick note on attendance. We'll be sharing the attendance form in the chat now. Please make sure to use the same name across Zoom, the attendance form, and the quiz. This is important for checking your performance and issuing digital credentials. Only the submitted forms will be counted for attendance. And before we move on, we'd like to sincerely thank our speaker, Mr. Sasanka Veerakon, for taking the time to share his knowledge with us today. It was a very insightful session. As a small token of our appreciation, we would like to present this in recognition of your contribution to Algo Ace 2.0. Now, coming to the session challenge. The quiz for this session will go live right after this. It will include 10 MCQs based on today's content, and it will be open for 1 hour only. Please make sure to use your registered name when attempting the quiz. To keep things fair, we'll be cross-checking quiz responses with the attendance details before final evaluation. Your performance will directly contribute to your overall ranking and badges. And finally, thank you everyone for joining and staying engaged throughout the session. We truly appreciate your participation. Please don't forget to complete the attendance form and attend the quiz. Looking forward to seeing you all in our final session. Have a great evening. Thank you.